Who should actually invest in a Cisco ISR 4331, and who would be better off looking elsewhere? If you're wondering whether a mid-range, rack-mountable router can justify its price for a typical office or a small to medium business, you're not alone. The biggest hesitation I hear from buyers is the fear of overpaying for features they'll never use while still missing the performance they need for critical apps. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'll walk through the real-world setup, daily usability, hidden trade-offs, and where the value actually comes from beyond the headline specs. First, let's talk about the environment where the ISR 4331 really shines. Imagine you're running a branch office with 50 to 150 employees, a handful of VoIP phones, a few security cameras, and a VPN tunnel back to headquarters. You need a device that can handle multiple WAN connections, support advanced routing protocols, and still leave headroom for occasional spikes when a large file transfer or a video conference starts. The ISR 4331's modular WAN ports let you plug in both a primary fiber line and a backup DSL or LTE link without a separate failover appliance. In practice, I've seen IT teams configure the primary ISP on the gigabit Ethernet port and a 4G LTE USB module in the expansion slot, then set up a simple policy-based routing rule that automatically reroutes traffic if the primary link drops. That kind of redundancy used to require two separate routers. With the ISR 4331 it's a single rack unit. Now, who benefits most from that flexibility? Small to medium enterprises that already have some Cisco infrastructure, or managed service providers that need to spin up a reliable branch router quickly. The device runs Cisco's iOS XE, which means you can push the same configuration templates you use on your core routers, keeping the management overhead low. If you're already comfortable with Cisco CLI and have a net academic or CCNA background, you'll feel right at home. The same isn't true for a boutique coffee shop with a handful of POS terminals. The learning curve and licensing cost for features like advanced security or VPN can outweigh the benefits. Speaking of licensing, that's one of the hidden costs that trips up buyers. Cisco sells the ISR 4331 with a base software bundle that covers basic routing, but many real-world deployments also need the security or enterprise services add-ons for firewall, intrusion prevention, and encrypted VPN. Those licenses are sold separately and are typically annual subscriptions. If you're budgeting for a one-off purchase, you need to factor those recurring fees into the total cost of ownership. In contrast, a comparable device from a different vendor might include a more generous feature set in the box, albeit with a less polished management interface. Let's get into the practical strengths you'll notice right after you rack the unit. The hardware is designed for 19-inch racks, and the weight is manageable enough that you can install it yourself without a crane. Power consumption sits around 70 watts under load, which is lower than older Cisco ISR models, translating to a modest electricity bill. The built-in console port and USB console cable make initial configuration straightforward. You can plug into a laptop, run a quick setup wizard, and have basic routing up in 10 minutes. From there, the real strength is the ability to run multiple services like DHCP, DNS forwarding, and QoS policies on the same chassis without noticeable latency. In a test I ran at a co-working space, video calls remained stable even when a large backup job saturated the internet link, thanks to the QoS class that prioritized RTP traffic. On the flip side, there are practical weaknesses you'll hit if you try to stretch the ISR 4331 beyond its sweet spot. The device has a single CPU module that can become a bottleneck when you enable too many advanced services simultaneously, say, deep packet inspection, multiple VPN tunnels, and a full-blown web filtering suite. Users have reported occasional CPU spikes that manifest as brief pauses in packet forwarding, especially during peak business hours. For a branch with heavy cloud workloads, you might find yourself needing a larger ISR model or a dedicated firewall appliance. Another consideration is the physical size. While it fits standard racks, the depth is longer than many newer compact routers, so you'll need at least 2 U of clearance behind the rack. If your server room is cramped, that could force a rearrangement. What about value for money? The list price for a new ISR 4331 typically lands in the mid-four-figure range, plus the cost of any required licenses. If you compare that to a fully featured, all-in-one SD-WAN appliance from a competing brand, the Cisco router can be more expensive upfront but offers a longer lifecycle and a broader ecosystem of Cisco tools. For businesses already invested in Cisco DNA Center or Cisco Prime for network monitoring, the ISR 4331 plugs in seamlessly, letting you leverage existing dashboards and automated policy pushes. That integration can save hours of manual work each month, which is a real monetary benefit you don't see on the spec sheet. So, should you buy it? If you run a branch office that needs reliable dual WAN, Cisco-centric management, and